Okay, folks, we'll go ahead and get started tonight. We're a little bit behind schedule.
Takže začíname, sme trošku pozadu.
Maybe, okay, I'll keep the distance here. It's good to see you here. A lot of you familiar faces from baseball here in Slovakia and some of my friends from Croatia. My name is Bill Percy and I'm one of our presenters for this weekend. I'm a Major League Baseball envoy coach and I also work with the Croatian national team in the summertime.
Takže som veľmi rád, že vás vidím, niektoré tváre sú mi už známe. Videl som vás predtým počas hrania baseballu, moje meno je Bill Percy. Som tréner národného mužstva Chorvátska.
I want to apologize. First of all, I have a handout here, but unfortunately the only handout I have is the one in front of me. I was hoping that I would have some copies made for you all to use tonight. All of my other presentations, you have the copies in front of you, but not this one. So I will do my best so you can take some notes and we'll get through it.
Chcem sa ospravedlniť, len na začiatok chcel som pre vás pripraviť nejaké také kopie, ktoré by boli aj pre vás. Všetko sa máte pred sebou, akorát táto jedna prezentácia je len taká opätovná, takže budem vám ukazovať a hovoriť priamo teraz.
Okay, the title of my topic is, and I think you see it on your schedule, it's off season.
Názov témy, ktorú budeme preberať, je mimosezónna príprava.
Off season and pre-season development for baseball and softball players.
Je to mimosezónna príprava a predsezónna príprava pre baseballistov a softballistov.
Okay, and I think you probably understand the importance. I hope you do, and I see a lot of young students in the audience tonight, but I hope you understand the importance of spending time with your sport, not just 3 months or 4 months out of the year, but it's important to spend the off-season time developing your skills.
Takže vidím, veľa z vás sú mladí ľudia, veľa z vás sú študenti, ktorí rozumejú tomu, ako sa majú pripravovať nielen na šport, ale aj na školu a v súvislosti práve s tým športom. Je veľmi dôležité, aby ste sa pripravovali nielen 2-3-4 mesiace predtým začiatkom sezóny, ale pripravovať sa dlhodobo predtým, ako znovu začne celá sezóna.
And I think it's obvious that this time of the year, many of us are thinking of skiing, ice hockey, basketball, but you are here. You are all here tonight, so I think it's obvious that you have a very genuine interest in baseball and learning more about baseball. As coaches and players, so it's good to see you here, and I'm glad you're all here. I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Takže je jasné, že vlastne v tomto období veľa z nás skôr myslíme, že naležovanie na somledovanie, na hranie basketbalu a tá sezóna vlastne sa ešte len blíži, ale práve preto som veľmi rád, že vás všetkých vidím a viem, že prežijeme spoločne tento víkend.
I want to give you one statement. I'll give you many statements this weekend, but one statement pertaining to this topic, which is very, very important, is, and please always remember this, ball players, and I don't care what sport it is, but ball players are developed in the off season.
Chcem vám povedať, ako že veľa vyhlásenia, ale to je jedno vyhlásenie, ktoré sa týka špeciálne toho, o čom budeme hovoriť teraz, je to, že hráči sa rastú a vyvíjajú práve počas mimosezónnej prípravy.
And it's not a problem or a difficulty if you play other sports. I know in America, many of the athletes play in high school. We promote kids playing 2 sports, maybe even 3 sports, and that's okay. But if you only play one sport, and I know a lot of you are involved in club sports, and this is your only sport, that's fine too. I think it's important though, if you do play more than one sport, that other sport will help you become a better athlete, a better, well-rounded athlete.
Som len prosím, ak stručne poviem teraz, že veľa z vás možno hrá viacerých športov naraz. U nás na strednej škole je podporované práve hranie viacerých športov, tak aby ten druhý vám zlepšoval tie výsledky v tom vašom primárnom, teda v tom prípade bejsbole a softbale. Takže teraz budeme sa zvládať na tou hlavnou činnosťou.
Okay, what I want to do in probably about 30 minutes or 35 minutes is give you some ideas that you can use, things you can do in the off season. Coaches, things you can do with your players, things that you can do on your own. I know for the last few years, and I see some of my assistant coaches and some of my players from Croatia, that are here, and they are doing many of these similar activities in the off season. Cardiovascular, weight training, hitting, everything.
Takže v súvislosti práve s tou predsednou prípravou vlastne dnes si preberieme tie cvičenia, ktoré sú dôležité a týkajú sa celej prípravy predtým, ako znovu začne súťaž a teraz to týkajúce sa posilného kardiovaskulárneho systému, kondícia, pálenie, hádzanie.
Okay, I want to break the off season into two particular parts. We will call one part the off season and the other part the pre-season.
Chcel som rozdeliť teda tú mimosezónnu prípravu, predsezónnu prípravu na dve časti. Jedna je teda tá časť mimosezóny a druhá je samotná predsezónna príprava.
Now, the off season really starts when your season, your playoffs are over, they're finished.
Čiže naša mimosezónna príprava začína tesne potom, ako skončia playoffy, vám začína mimosezónna príprava.
I really believe that, and I know your weather here sometimes can be very nice in the fall during the months of October and November, and I think it's important that you as coaches and players take advantage of this good weather, and we will start from there with the off-season beginning in October or November.
Viem, že počasie tu niekedy umožňuje na konci septembra, oktobra, má teda celkom dobré podmienky, takže začneme to mimosezónnou prípravou už tu.
Okay. And the other part would be the preseason, and this is the season leading up to your outdoor season, which starts, I would assume, in March. And really, the preseason is about 6 to 8 weeks, starting in I guess February, the 1st of February.
Čiže tá druhá časť je už tá samotná predsezónna príprava. Tá sa môže trvať teda 6 až 8 týždňov pred samotným začiatkom sezóny, čo vlastne asi začiatok marca. V našom prípade tá predsezónna časť prípravy začína už teda okolo 1. februára.
Okay, I'm going to break this down into different phases, about 4 phases. And the first phase I want to talk about, phase 1, will be outdoor team development.
Celú tú prípravu som chcel rozdeliť do 4 fáz. Prvá fáza je nejaký taký vonkajší, nejaký rozvoj celého týmu.
This is during the off season. This is the period of time, if the weather is nice now, again, this is the question, if the weather is nice and you have the opportunity to get outside after the playoffs. I'm talking, October, November, some of your playoffs go through October. I know if you're going all the way to I know in Croatia, for instance, they're probably playing into the 3rd week in October. I'm not sure what it is here, but this is a great time to take advantage of coaches, some time to work with your players, specifically the younger players, and do more teaching now than you can in March and April.
Čiže teraz na celú otázku budeme hovoriť o prvej fáze, teda o nejakej práci vonku, ktorá začína tesne po skončení sezóny. Ktorá závisí na tom, aké počasie, ale ak je dobré počasie, tak je to obdobie konca októbra, začiatka novembra. Hovorím práve o tom, že Chorvátsku vlastne hrali až do nejakého 3. týždňa v októbri ligu. A práve v tomto období môžeme spraviť viac toho učenia, toho vzdelávania.
And, really, I think at this time, maybe some of the veteran players are saying, okay, I want to be away. Okay, that's fine. But really, this is the teaching period. This 6 week, 7 week, 8 week period, if you can get outdoors and work with specifically the younger players, but also the veterans too. Sometimes they may need to take a break, but especially the young juniors that are coming up to the senior levels, this is a great time to get them out there and work on your various team defenses, individual defenses, hitting, and so forth.
Čiže znovu opakujem, je to teda tá časť, po skončení sezóny. Môže sa stať, že tí starší hráči si povedia, že sú unavení, že už to majú dosť, že proste nebudú robiť nič, ale práve pre tie mladšie ročníky, pre juniorov, ktorí budú alebo teda blízko budú pustiť, môže to výborný čas na to, aby sa s nimi pracovalo na obrane, na napálení.
Okay. Inter-squad games, probably a great time to put your teams together if you have enough players. to do inter-squad games, and even if you don't have enough players, you can still do game situation type games. Now you don't have to throw your pitchers if you want to shut your pitchers down for the winter and use machines or just do a coach pitch. That's fine. But again, this is a time where you really take advantage of the teaching period.
Čiže zase je to vlastne tá časť roka, keď sa dá veľmi vhodne hrať navzájom proti sebe, to znamená rozdeliť sa celý tým na dve časti, hrať sa navzájom proti sebe. Ak nechcete názvať, či nechcete hádzať vôbec, môže sa hádzať v mašine alebo môžu názvať kauči.
Okay, now I want to go to phase 2. In phase 2, we're going to break it down into two different areas, weight training and conditioning.
Prvá fáza, to sme prebrali, to je taký som po skončení sezóny. Druhá fáza, ktorá trvá 6-8 týždňov, sa rozdeľuje na posilovňu a teda prácu stalového charakteru, a druhá časť je kondičná príprava.
And I know that some of the people in the audience, I look back there at one of my former assistant coaches from Karlovac, and I remember some of the other guys too, that I would send them or give them my playbook 3 or 4 summers ago when I was in Croatia, and I know a lot of them for a fact are doing many of these off-season techniques, the weight training, the conditioning, all kinds of things.
Čiže tam, čo priateľ z Karlovacu, z Chorvátska, tak keď sa na nich pozerám, spomínam si a viem, že veľmi veľa týchto cvičení, ktoré sú práve pre túto časť sezóny vhodné, sa u nich uplatňovali, používali.
Okay, weight training. We'll talk about it. Different phases, different types of weight training. I am not going to stand up here and tell you that you have to do this particular lift, you have to do that particular lift. But what I will tell you, and I think is very, very important, I think all of you athletes understand this, the importance now of weight training. Everybody does it. Hockey players do it, basketball players do it, football players do it, baseball. Weight training is very, very critical. Not only in the off-season, but during the season too.
Čiže s tou fyzickou silovou prípravou nebudem ti teraz stáť a hovorím, že presne máte robiť takéto a takéto cviky, čo je faktom, čo je dôležité vedieť, že robia to všetci, robí sa to v každom športe a je to vec, ktorá sa netýka len samotnej prípravy pre sezónu, ale posúva sa a cvičí sa naďalej aj počas samotnej súťaže.
Now, I don't have time to stand up here and go over all different types of exercises, and I wouldn't do that anyway. If we were in a weight room, then I could show you, but I'm sure most of you probably understand the basic lifting exercises, good exercises that you can use as a baseball, softball player that will help you. Now, I'm going to give you some options, though, types of lifting. We refer to it as bulk lifting, heavy lifting with less repetitions, but we also look at endurance lifting, which obviously would be a lesser amount of weight, but more repetitions.
Čiže opakujem ešte raz, nemá význam vám tu nejakým spôsobom hovoriť o tom, že ako sa má čo dvíhať, neznám teda v posilovni, ale principiálne sa jedná vlastne o dve možnosti, akým spôsobom sa posiluje. V prvom rade je to posilovanie s veľkými váhami a druhá možnosť je vlastne posilovanie na silu, to znamená teda na výdrž, tam sa zase používajú menšie váhy, viac opakovaní, pri tom posilovaní na váhu sa vyhajú veľké váhy a veľmi opakovaní.
It's very important that baseball players do not get too, and you know this, I think when you swing a baseball bat, you understand the importance of being flexible, and being loose and free and so forth. It's important to understand that when you do lift weights, you want to be careful and not get too heavy, not get too bulky where the body is developed in a manner where you cannot swing a bat, because bat speed is so important. Girls in softball, guys in baseball, it's the same. It's the absolute same. Bat speed is very important, so flexibility is critical when you're lifting. Whether you're lifting heavy or you're lifting light, it's important to get involved in some type of flexibility or stretching program.
Čo veľmi dôležité je myslieť pri posilovaní na to, že nesmete sa, tí hráči sa nesmú stať príliš veľkými, príliš stvrnutými na to, aby nezabudali na samotný švih a flexibilitu, ktorá je potrebná pri vykonávaní, pri pripávaní pri softbale, pri pripávaní pri basebole. To znamená, že na to, aby sa generovala veľká rýchlosť pálky pri švihaní, je potrebná aj stane flexibility o hybnosti. a preto je dôležité vždy zapájať aj teda nejaké tie cvičenia, ktoré pomáhajú pri tom stretchovaní a rozvíjaniu flexibility, ale pohyblivosti.
I want to compliment Martin. He's doing a hell of a job here, Martin. You have a great memory. Sometimes I go too long.
I'm taking notes.
Okay. I promise I will have these copies made for you so that you can look at some of the things that I'm talking about. So tomorrow you will have this copy in your hand. Okay, circuit training. This is something I would do with my high school players, a lot of your age here, and we would do this for, about 8 weeks, 10 weeks during the winter months. And we would work in twos, groups of twos in the weight room, and I would put them on a 10-minute rotation, and they had anywhere from 10 to 15 exercises that they had to do. We would work for 10 minutes at a station, and then we would rotate in a specific order.
Takže materiály, o ktorých teraz hovorím, zajtra budem teraz pridelené kopie. Ďalšia vec, kruhový tréning. K tomu kruhovému tréningu pracuje sa v skupinách, takže sú dvaja ľudia v skupine, pracuje sa 10 minút, za 10 minút sa urobí 10 až 15 rôznych cvičení a potom sa rotuje.
Okay, and it's not only just weightlifting. We would do other things too. We would do TheraBand exercises. We would do medicine ball twist exercises and abdominal work with the medicine ball. We would swing weighted bats. We would do plyometrics, box jumping. A lot of techniques, a lot of ideas that I got from Russian athletes years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Čiže tam tie cvičenia, ktoré sú zahrnuté, sú práca s tými aktivacími zvolami, práca s medicínbalom a plyometrics, to sú tie zvláštne medicínbaly, také metrenia na Slovensku po slovensky, rôzne feedbally, feedlofty a skákanie zo švedských debí. Sú to rôzne cvičenia, ktoré sa naučil pred pár rokmi od ruských atletov.
Okay, baseball players, very, very important that you do not forget, and I know we all want to get bulky, and we want to get big arms. The big arms don't swing the bat.
Chcem upozorniť a zdôrazniť jednu vec, že aj keď častokrát chceme, tí hráči chcú vyzerať veľkí, chcú mať veľké svaly, nesme mať príliš veľké ruky na to, aby nám zabraňovali vyšší hraní.
And I will talk about this tomorrow when we talk about hitting during the baseball sessions. Really the most important thing when you're talking about hitting for strength is hands and forearms. Hands and forearms.
Budem sa k tomu ešte vrácať počas dnešných aj teraz zajtrajších stretnutí, ale ako hovoríme o sile, ktorá vlastne vychádza pri plávaní, tak naozaj tá sila je generovaná vlastne relakciami a závismi.
If we do work the circuit training, I have them again work 10 minutes, and I tell them this, within the 10 minutes, about 8 to 12 repetitions, and try and get 3 sets, okay? That should give them enough time to rest in between, but also it's going to elevate the heart rate so that the particular area that they're working on, bicep, tricep, abdominals, pecs, deltoids, are all getting a sufficient workout.
Takže ten kruhový posilovní, tých kruhových cvičení 10 minút, opakovaní, 8 až 12 opakovaní, 3 sety, 3 série. Potom vykonať je dôležité uložiť dostatočný čas na oddychnutie, tak aby zároveň teda sa ukludnila ten srdcový tep a potom znovu vlastne začať a posilovať vlastne všetky partie, to znamená prasia, chrbát, biceps, triceps.
Okay, now what about the guys, and I'm looking in the back there and I see some of my guys that are saying, yeah, coach, I know what you're talking about, but I like to lift heavy, and you know, they like to go off and do their own workout and so forth. And I would tell them, even if I was in Zagreb or Karlovac or whatever, I would say, okay, fine, go ahead and do that. You know, you can do your squats, you can do your bench press, you can do your deadlifts and so forth. But just be careful when you get closer to your season, when you get closer to, you know, like March 1st, then it's time to back off the heavy weights and go more to endurance.
Čiže teraz má na to, keď pozerám na tých mojich borcov hore a keď sa nás pýtajú, že mi povedia coach, chcel som ja cvičiť väčšie váhy, trochu to nakupovať, tak moja odpoveď je vždy taká, že áno, že je v poriadku, môžete podľa vlastného programu, ale je dôležité s tým, ako sa čoraz viac blíži sezóna, uvoľňovať, znižovať z tých váh a ísť v prospech opakovania väčších opakovaní a nižšie záťaže.
Okay, part 2 of phase 2,
Čiže druhá časť fázy 2.
conditioning. And this, I think, is very, very challenging for you to make it interesting for your athletes. I see a lot of you out there sitting there saying, Coach, don't make me run. I don't want to run. You know, I run all the time anyway. Make it interesting for them. I'm going to give you some ideas.
Čiže druhá časť druhej fázy, kondičná príprava, čo je veľmi dôležité, je to, aby to bolo zaujímavé pre tých ľudí, pre tých hráčov, ktorí to majú vykonávať. Aby sa proste nestalo to, že hráči sa budú stiažovať, že zase musíme behať, že nás to nevadí. Teraz vám dám poviem pár príkladov, ako to spraviť zaujímavé a príkažlivé, aby to tých ľudí bavilo. Aj tak kondička.
I remember the old days when I was younger, many years ago, when I was in high school and playing basketball, and basketball is very popular here, but my coach just made us run lines up and back, up and back, up and back. And the more, when I got into college and when I studied and then I became a coach, I was actually coaching basketball too, I realized that you can get the workout, the cardiovascular workout, by making your players do running exercises that are specifically geared to your sport, not just running up and down a court or up around the field.
Čiže keď si spomeniem, ako sa vlastne trénoval, tak keď ja som hral na strednej škole, tak vlastne tréner nás prinútil behať z jednej strany na druhú veľké vzdialenosti. Teraz, čo je umožnené a čo je cieľom, je dosiahnuť to, aby sme pripravili také cvičenia, ktoré sú špecificky platné pre ten konkrétny šport a pomáhajú sa zlepšiť.
Okay. A couple of things that we would do just to break things up, to make it a little more interesting. And I know it's funny because the guys email me from time to time and say, Coach, you know, we're playing basketball one night a week. That's great. That's you know, that's going to help. I mean, obviously cardiovascular, basketball, swimming, water polo, if you have an indoor swimming pool. What else? In America we call it floor hockey. I don't know what...
Čiže akékoľvek aktivity, stále sa ľudia zaujali, že coach hrajú basketbal, to je v všetky takéto aktivity, basketbal, plávanie, to je normálne hokej, myslím, že pozemný hokej alebo hokej cvičení, pomáhajú posilovaniu teda tej kondičky.
We will do, when we're in gymnasium, we will do some baseball-related shuffles and moves. You know, the shuffle movement, when players in a station, or not a stationary, but a secondary league, things like that. We will do hand-eye drills with pickups with tennis balls. We will do anything that is related, that I can relate to the game of baseball.
Čiže keď sme telocvičení, dá sa robiť veľa cvičení, ktoré sú priamo naviazané na baseball, to znamená, sú to rôzne šafle, rôzne hry s tenisovými loptami, branie výbehov na metách a behanie, čiže vlastne je to taká nejaká simulácia, tak aby sa to zase využívalo v prospech tej kondičnej prípravy.
Something else too, baseball and softball players, and we don't do enough of this, but table tennis. How many of you play table tennis? It's a great activity for hand-eye coordination, quickness. It's amazing how good of a drill it is for your eyes.
Jeden veľmi dobrý cvik, koľko záleží stolný tenis. Stolný tenis je super šport aj kvôli tej koordinácii očí ruky a pomáha vlastne všeobecným rozvoju rýchlosti.
Okay, coaches, this is for you. The important thing to remember here is to keep it interesting for your athletes. Keep it interesting and be creative.
Toto je pre vás preklad, čo je veľmi dôležitá vec pre trénerov, informácia je mimoriadne dôležité udržať ten tréning zaujímavý a stále ho veľmi zaujímavé pre tých hráčov, aby sa bavili.
And I know also that many of you coaches are very busy. You have your own lives, you have your own profession, your own jobs. So athletes, those of you that are in the audience, those of you that are 15, 16, 18, 20 years old, you have to go out and do these workouts sometimes on your own. I mean, that's so important. Do not rely on your coach to say, Anna, you have to do that. No, you have to be motivated to do it yourself, and sometimes it may just be you yourself.
Zase tretí mladší, tí, ktorí hrajú pre samotných hráčov, častokrát tí tréneri sú pretože majú rodiny, majú svoje vlastné problémy a práve tí mladší hráči sa musia uvedomiť, musia byť dostatočne motivovaní na to, aby tú kondičku potom postupne začali robiť sami, aby vedeli, že to pre nich je dôležité a sami sa starajú, sám si treba zíbrať, sám si treba udržiavať tú kondičku do stále.
Okay, and coaches, one more thing for you, and we'll talk a little bit about goals. First of all, what are the goals that you're seeking here?
Čiže preberieme si cieľe, ktoré sú dôležité sledovať pri kondičnej príprave.
Number one, endurance.
Vytrvalosť, prvý cieľ.
Strength development,
Druhý cieľ je rozvoj sily.
quickness and flexibility,
Tretí je rýchlosť a ohybnosť.
and probably most important, and it really doesn't have anything to do with weightlifting or conditioning, and that is building a team chemistry.
A posledný faktor, posledný bod, ktorý je veľmi dôležitý a nemá nič v súvislosti s nejakou fyzickou prípravou, je to tzv. tá tímová chémia, alebo je to nejaký taký celkový pocit v týme, nejaká súdržnosť, atmosféra na to úspech.
I think sometimes, of course, you can take it maybe too far. I don't know if they're still doing this, but I know the guys in Karlovac used to drive all the way to Marsden on Wednesday nights to play basketball. But I know that there was more than basketball after the basketball game was over that night, right, guys?
Čiže viem, že niekedy proste že nemusí do kapitálom do extrémov. Viem, že títo borci z Karlovacu sa tam každú stredu večer jazdili do Váraždinu a hrali basketball, ale viem, že nebol to basketball, že za tým basketballom bol ešte niečo viac potom.
But that's what I'm talking about, is within your team, building a team chemistry, and the guys that maybe don't know one another very well, or maybe they don't like one another, you'd be amazed how this off-season work tends to bring players closer together.
Čiže tí hráči slúži to vlastne na to, že tí hráči, ktorí sa navzájom dobre nepoznajú, sa môžu viac poznať a nevedeli by si, ako to dokáže obrovský pomoc tých ľudí zblížiť, tak aby potom pracovali ako jeden tým.
They tell me tomorrow I'll have a clip mic. I really hate standing behind a podium like this. I feel like a robot. But tomorrow if I have a clip mic, I will be able to move around the stage so you can see me do a few things.
Čiže zajtra budem mať mikrofón priamo ako na tričku, takže nerad chcem za tým podium, že budete vidieť, že budem priamo ukázať na mesiac, tak si pálenie.
I feel like I have to have a bat in my hand or something. Actually, this is a half a bat. This is called a flat bat, and I'll show you what I do with these things tomorrow.
Čiže mám tak proste máme pocit, že musíme pri niečo veľké a náročne s tým spákom, špeciálne pálka, ktorá sa ako flatback, pomôže pálka začala preberať na nejaké ďalšie cviky.
Okay, phase 3 is what I call small group hitting. And really, this, depending on your facilities, if you have a place to go indoors and hit, now it doesn't have to be real baseballs. If you have an indoor facility and you don't have a net, I'll show you wiffle ball drills tomorrow. I will show you tennis ball drills, softie drills. You do not need to hit baseballs all winter long. You can hit other types of balls without a net and still get all of the hitting process in that is necessary.
Takže toto je tzv. Pálenie v malých skupinách, dá sa využívať aj v telocvičniach bez sietí, nemusíte páliť do tvrdých vôd, stačí používať wiffle balls, to sú také tie dielové lopty, alebo softové, také meké, tie penové lopty, alebo tenisové lopty, takže dá sa dostať tá dávka tréningová cez zimu aj bez toho, že ste potrebovali nejaké extra priestory.
Okay, what I like to do during this period of time is work with about 2 to 4 hitters at a time. I don't want all 12 or 15 or 18 guys there. I want small groups because this is a time for me to work hands-on training. I analyze their swing, I critique it.
Čiže počas tejto fázy sa trénuje tak, že sa sústredím vždy na skupiny 2-4 ľudí, tak aby som mal čas a mohol sa sústrediť na to, čo to ako robí. Mohol sledovať ich techniku, ich prípravu, aby som teda to mal pod dohľadom.
And this is a great time because, you may have that player coaches that, you know how stubborn they are, right? And they say, Coach, I can't do it, I can't change. I've been doing this all my life, right? And I see the guys up there smiling. I've been doing this all my life, this swing, for the last 10 years, I can't change. This is a great time where you can videotape your player and look at him and then go into wherever, a classroom, and say, okay, see this, I like this, this needs to be corrected. You know why? Because last year you had a problem, you hit 280, the year before you hit 360, we need to correct a few things in your swing.
Čiže táto časť je vhodná takisto aj na to, aby sa tí hráči natočili na videu. Častokrát sa stáva, že sú hráči, ktorí povedia, že tréner, ja to nedokážem zmeniť, že sú lektori, sú príliš tvrdohlavní na to, aby skúsili niečo nové a že proste 10 rokov robia niečo takisto. Práve to video slúži na to, aby ste ich natočili, mohli ukázať, že ako teda konkrétne pália vysvetlili nejaké teda tie potrebné zmeny a rozdiely, keď teda pálili pred rokom 360 a teraz to je 250.
Okay, coaches, this is a great time. When you do videotape though, videotape from 2 angles. videotape side angle with the camera on the side, right here, okay? And then also with a straight on the camera behind the BP picture throwing wiffle balls.
Čiže keď sa natáča pálenie hráčov, je dôležité vždy natáčať z dvoch uhlov. Prvý uhol je priamo z tej tvárovej časti, ako si videl teda z pohľadu od vás. Druhý pohľad, ktorý je dôležité natočiť, je vlastne pohľad priamo zo strany názvača, to znamená zo strany hokja, pokiaľ priletá hokja.
Now, I know how a lot of you here, when I started coming over here in '97, all of the clubs had machines, pitching machines, whether a jugs machine or an ATEC machine, and I know I see the softball machines too. Machines are okay, but you must remember the most important form of batting practice is live batting practice.
Viem, že keď som si som videl ľudí, aj v Brusách som videl, že sú k dispozícii nádherné stroje. Nádherné stroje sú v poriadku, aj teda na baseball, aj na softball, ale dôležité a najlepšia príprava ako taká je živé nádzorovanie, živé hádzanie rukou.
I would assume that you all know why, so tell me why. Why is live batting important?
A verím, že každému z vás je to jasné, že prečo je to lepšie ako porovnanie s mašinou. Viete povedať, že prečo? Teda, aký je názor, prečo lepšie hádzať rukou ako keď sa to hádže strojom?
I have extra credit for the answer. Who has the answer for me?
Extra body za to. Všetci ste sami. Timing je to bolo, časovanie je oveľa lepšie.
What is a pitcher's main desire? How is a pitcher going to get a hitter out?
Čo je hlavným cieľom názvača, akým spôsobom chce vyautovať pákera?
By changing speeds, changing locations.
Yeah.
In other words, he's going to disrupt the hitter's what? Timing.
To znamená, že ten spôsob, akým sa nabúra ten rytmus a výkon pákera je práve meniť časovanie. A teda meniť rýchlosť.
So I would caution you, and we do this with the Croatian guys all the time, is when you use machines, and we will use machines, but normally when I set a machine up, I will put either a left-handed or a right-handed curveball in the machine, and I want them to get into the habit of seeing the spin, picking up the spin.
Chcem vás upozorniť, špecificky s týmito mašinami sa využívajú hlavne na to, že sa nastavuje buď nápraváka alebo naľaváka a väčšinou teda na točku, tak ako sa hráči sústredili a videli správne rotáciu švíkov.
But also, it's not just batting practice. This is a time when you can work on your drill work. You'll see some excellent drills. You probably already saw some of the video going earlier tonight before I started. A lot of these drills you can do on your own. I mean, the coach is there, maybe the coach isn't there, but you can do all of them on your own. The important thing to remember, though, this is very, very important. When you're doing your drills, and I told my kids this the other night, I coach also a team in my hometown in Colorado, 14-year-olds. I am not interested in quantity, I am more interested in quality.
Čiže nejedná sa teda len špeciálne o cvičenia, ktoré sa vzťahujú na technický predpis, teda na pálenie pred zápasom alebo tú prípravu, ale veľa tých cvičení môžete robiť aj sami. Pričom jedna vec je nesmierne dôležitá a vlastne od mojich malých rokov v Kolorade, keď som vyrastal, vždy som zdôrazňujem sa, že je dôležitejšia kvalita ako kvantita.
You know, some coaches say in the States, they say you have to get 300 swings, 400 swings, and then you will be a better hitter. I say wrong. No, it's not about the quality or the quantity, it's about the quality. As long as the players understand every time, whether they're doing a tee drill or a toss drill or any type of drill, as long as they understand what they're doing when they're doing it, that is more important than getting 500 swings.
Čo je dôležité, je uvedomiť si to, že niekedy sa hovorí, že proste na to, aby si mal dobrú švík, treba našľať 300 švíkov. Nie je to tak. Dôležité je to šíjať správne, to znamená, aby ste vedeli, čo máte robiť, kedy to máte robiť a vykonať to podľa toho správneho modelu. A vtedy sa vlastne šíja tak, ako sa má. Teda nie kvantita, množstvo, ale správna kvalita, správne vykonanie toho šíja. It's
funny because you, I just forgot what I was going to say, but when you videotape, it brings out so much education for the athlete. I mean, you can feel it, okay, but when you videotape and you see for the first time, maybe, now you say, Coach, now I understand what you were saying.
Čiže veľmi zaujímavý faktor, alebo nejaké následky vyplývajú práve z toho natáčania na videu, a to je to, že tí ľudia prvýkrát cítia a možno si uvedomia to, čo im sa celý čas hovorí a vyčíta, že robia zle, keď si naozaj po tom prezretí toho natáčaného videa sami uvedomia, čo robili nesprávne.
Okay, I remember what I wanted to say now. And I do a lot of private lessons, one-on-one lessons and one-on-two lessons. And younger kids, I mean kids that are younger than you, I work with 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. And when I'm teaching a lesson to them and I see something, and I see their head fly out, or I see their swing get long, okay, or I see them stepping out here in the bucket, I ask them, after I throw, what'd you feel? What did you feel?
Čo je dôležité, vlastne ja pokiaľ sa dá trénujem vždy sám s tým konkrétnym hráčom a hovorím, čo robil zle, mládežnická, juniori. Treba si všimnúť a vysvetliť a zastaviť toho hráča, ak zle nakročí, ak sa príliš otočí a zastaviť ho spýtam sa, čo urobil, ako to cítil, keď vykonal tento pohyb. Okay, and it's amazing. You know you're doing a good job. You know your players are understanding you when they can tell you, Coach, I flew open that time. My front side flew open, my head flew open, or my swing is long. They will tell you that, and you should know that too. You should be able to feel that. When you're doing something incorrect, coaches ask them. When you see it, you can see it because you're throwing to them, or you're on the side when somebody else is throwing batting practice. Ask them, what'd you see? What'd you feel there? Čo je úžasné, je dostať sa do takého stavu, keď vám ten hráč sám povie, kde urobil chybu. To znamená, že vy pálite, alebo teda on pálí, sa na nepozeráte, on povie, že robil som toto zle som si nakročil, zle som švihol, moc som sa otočil a tak ďalej. A takto vlastne tí hráči potom majú možnosť sami opravovať spolupráci s tým trénerom a výstavia. Okay, we're actually getting back on schedule. I've got a couple minutes left here, guys, and I want to talk a little bit about what we do with the pitchers in the preseason, but Don Freeman, Coach Freeman, is going to talk exclusively about pitching here over the next 3 days also. So I'm going to briefly touch on pitching, and then I would like to, please, don't be bashful, ask questions. We'll do a few minutes of those, and we'll be back on schedule. Že vracam sa znovu, začneme si a teraz tým pôvodným časom plánom, všetko je v poriadku. Ďalší coach bude o chvíľku hovoriť podrobnejšie aj to také, čo sa trošku iba o názvaní. Ja sa len dotknem názvania a budeme pokračovať. I guess I better put the bat down now. Okay. Phase 4 is pitcher-catcher workouts. Fáza 4, tréningy názvač-catcher. What I do with my high school kids, and I know college programs in America do the same thing, although colleges start a little bit sooner. Usually colleges start their season in January, whereas the high schools start in February or March. Takže tréningy názvač catcher vlastne na úrovni college, to znamená, to sú končatky strednej školy, začiatok vysokých škôl. Podľa toho, kedy začína sezóna, v Amerike je to obdobie február-marec. Teda u nás je to február-marec, v Amerike je to obdobie trošku skôr. And I know that this is different for you because your sporting teams are so much different from ours. Our teams are directly related to the schools, to the high schools and the colleges, and here you are in a club-type activity. So we have restrictions. Sometimes I know Don is in Washington State and I am in Colorado. I can work with my players in the off-season. It's okay. And I think Don, he's shaking his head. They cannot. And it's very difficult for Coach Freeman in Washington. But in Colorado, we can work with our players November, December, January, and it's okay. Len chcem najlepšiu informáciu. V štátoch je to niekedy problém, tá zimná príprava práve po tom, že sú rôzne pravidlá v rôznych konkrétnych štátoch v Amerike. V Colorade je možné trénovať hráčom počas mimo sezóny. V štáte Washington je tá sezónna príprava zakázaná napríklad. Okay. Basically what I do with the pitchers and catchers is if I'm going outside for the first outdoor practices March 1st, I will start the pitchers and catchers about 6 to 8 weeks prior to that. Takže názvači catcheri, ak začína celý tým s tréningami 1. marca vonku, tak títo názvači catcheri musia začať prípravu 6 až 8 týždňov pred týmto dátumom.
and I know this is, and Don will talk about this a lot this weekend, really, I think we all agree that pitching is, and I would assume it's at least that in softball too, because you see so many dominating softball pitchers. Pitching is 90% of the game. It really is.
Takže začnem tým názvaním a musím si povedať, že naozaj aj v baseball, aj v softbale nadok dominuje hre a som tvorí to 90% toho športu ako takého.
So if that's the case, I ask you as coaches, are you spending enough time with your pitchers? And this preseason time is so important because once you start your season, this is what I was saying earlier, once you start your season, you get so busy outdoors with your practices, and maybe you're the only coach, okay? And once you get started with outdoor practices, there's so many things that you want to cover, and you can't because you just don't have time. Now's the time to do it. These months, preseason months and the off-season months.
Takže ak je tomu naozaj tak, teda, že to názvanie je 90% toho celého zápasu, tak je veľmi dôležité tomu dať primeraný čas počas tej prípravy pre sezónu, pretože keď začne sezóna, tak narazí toho tak strašne veľa, že sa to názvanie a teda ešte nemusia rád stíhať a toho času je skutočne málo. A tá samotná fáza je veľmi dôležitá na to, aby sa ten tým na to pripravil.
I'm trying to key in on two things during this period now, during this 8-week period. Number one, I'm working on arm development, strength development for the arm, but also I'm working on my pitcher's mechanics.
Čiže počas tejto fázy sa sústredím na dve veci, to znamená tých 6 týždňov pred začiatkom sezóny špeciálne nálezu, keďže je to posilňovanie ruky a správna technika nádherná.
And I could spend another hour up here talking about what exactly we do, but I will just tell you this. We start off with low amounts of pitches the first week, and we will gradually increase by about just 10 pitches a week. So by the time we're ready to go outdoors and start our outdoor practices, and the pitchers are throwing a game, they should be able to throw. Now, this is baseball. I'm not quite sure Michelle will talk about the softball part of it, but I would want the baseball pitchers to be able to throw 80 to 100 pitches.
To znamená, že nádor začínajú s tým, že vždy začínajú s nižším počtom nádorov, ktoré majú, pričom sa každý týždeň pridáva asi 10 nádorov tak, aby na konci tej fázy boli schopní odhádzať 80 až 100 nádorov. Čo sa týka softballu vyšiel poviem konkrétne potom viac.
During this particular time, and again, Don will allude to the types of drills that he does with pitchers, but during this particular time, we will do all kinds of mechanics drills. We will do towel drills. We will do bucket drills. Don, are you going to get into some of those tomorrow a little bit? But we will also work on pickoff moves. You know, you can get into a gym and work pickoff moves with a pitcher just using softies, you know, and have them throw it to a spot on the wall. You're working on your footwork and you know, your transfer and everything.
Takže hráči vlastne počas tejto fázy môžu pracovať na rôznych drilloch, trénovať pick-off pohyby, môžu používať soft, teda tie nejaké lopty. Tieto zvyčne prebehneme stále zajtra.
Okay. Catchers, what can you do with the catchers now? This is not a time when the pitchers are working on their individual drills. They're mechanics drills. You know, they're working on their balance points, their breakouts. What do you do with the catchers? The catchers aren't catching them. Now you put the catchers in another area of the gym, maybe on some carpet or something, and you're working on blocking drills. You're working on catch and transfer drills. You're working on little pop-ups where they turn, flip, and catch. So that's the best time to work with your catchers.
Takže v čase, keď vlastne hráči pracujú na tých svojich drilloch, je dôležité nájsť na to catcherov, keďže majú na čom makať a väčšinou sú nejaké žienky, blokovacie drily, teda chytavotu spracovať, prihodiť, nejaké také zdvíhanie alebo tie hádzanie, takže toto je to, čím treba nájsť počas tých tréningov potom catcherov. Okay, guys, I want to wrap up. I just want to say this, and coaches and players, both of you. I mean, this is critical. You have to buy into this. If you're just going through the motions and you're there because your coach says you got to be there and so forth, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Coaches, show your players you are willing to put in the time, the extra time. Okay, but expect that in return from your players. Jedna vec, ako o si uvedomujem, čo veľmi dôležité je to, že nemá význam, aby hráči len proste chodili na tréning kvôli tomu, že tam musia ísť. jedna strana dáva do toho svoj vlastný čas, sú to tréneri, ktorí musia ukázať svoju vôľu a pomoc. A zase na druhej strane potom sa hráči, ktorí povedia, že áno, ja som ochotný na akadémii niečo spraviť pre ten šport.
Any questions? A couple of questions from the audience.
Nejaké otázky? Čokoľvek, čo sa si spýtať.
Casey. Sure. I put him there. I know his name. I put him there on purpose. Go ahead.
You said how important live BP is, and for a good reason. But now my question is, how do you do live BP in the gym during the winter time? Since in BP machine we have like soft balls, and for live BP we need real balls in here all over the gym, the gym. So is there any drills? Are you going to cover the drills tomorrow? Or
Yeah.
now?
What we can do, we'll talk about them tomorrow. Now, are you saying with or net or without a net?
Depends. We have like something that.
If you,
Let me
if
translate.
you don't have a net,
Čiže otázka skôr bola, že ako sa, keď sme hovorili o tom hádzovaní, že pre náročné hádzanie, napálenie je teda live hádzanie rukou, alebo live BP, ako je to možné realizovať v telocvični bez toho, že by sme si nespravili nejakú koničku na dříví. Takže otázka znamená, ako sa dá vykonať.
so the best inventions known to man, JC, softies, tennis balls.
Čiže jedna z množstva vynálezov ľudstva, meké lopty, tenisové lopty použiť.
Now, with adult hitters, you probably need some kind of a net to just get behind the throw. You don't have to be at 60 feet, but you can be at 25 or 30 feet. You know, let's just say, 8 meters, okay? And with a net in front of you now, obviously you don't want to hit hard balls, but if you're hitting these, hopefully you're not breaking the lights, but, again, you can have that hit in a short situation, but you can also have them hit wiffle balls too, okay? So they're not hitting the baseballs, but honestly, again, it's quality, okay? If I'm hitting it, I don't have to hit a wiffle ball. I mean, I don't have to hit a baseball to understand what I need to be doing.
Čo je dôležité, je možnosť používať tieto meké lopty, je možnosť používať wiffle to sú tie biele, alebo tieto soft lopty, tieto penové. A väčšinou teda už pri tých dospelých hráčoch je potrebné dať sa nejaký screen, nejakú menšiu sieť. A opakujem, dôležité sa prieť sa vždy na kvalitu, nie na kvantitu. To znamená, je dôležité uvedomiť si, ako sa ten bod vykonáva, aby sa vykonal správne, nie jeho množstvo opakovaní.
Okay, obviously, if you have a tunnel, then you're okay. If you have a tunnel and an L screen, then you're fine.
Samozrejme, ak máš tunel, tak sa to je v poriadku.
Any other questions?
Nejaké ďalšie otázky?
Yes, sir. Badminton birdies, I've heard that, yes, badminton birdies, for the hand-eye coordination.
Typ odmáca badmintonové košiky. Veľmi dobrý nejaký nástroj na tréning, na koordináciu.
Okay, I have one quick story to tell you, and it relates to what the question Casey just asked me a minute ago.
Mám teraz jedna krátka, ktorý sa práve vzťahuje na to, čo sa Casey spýtal ohľadne toho pálenia telocvične.
And really, it goes back to what I was saying about quality.
A vlastne znovu sa vzťahuje k tomu, čo som hovoril, že týka sa toho teda naozaj kvality a kvality pálenia.
I'll try to make this short. 2 years ago, we were playing in the A-Pool Championships in Germany. And it was a very rainy, wet field that afternoon, or that morning. And I remember, here we are playing the team that's, has been in the Olympics, European champions for many years. And I made the decision to take batting practice with dimple balls, Jug's dimple balls.
Takže tento príbeh začal tým, že pred 2 roky sme hrali na majstrovstve Európy v A skupine v Nemecku počas ráno zápasu za dážďové počasia proti mnohonásobnému európskemu majstrovi a rozhodol som sa, že budeme používať, to sú tie také apliky, také tie žlté gumené lopty, také tie ťažké gumené lopty.
We were not fortunate to have 300 baseballs, very nice baseballs like the Dutch had. We probably had, how many, 50 baseballs, and they were getting very wet and very heavy. And I said, no, I don't want to ruin these. The tournament's halfway through. If we take batting practice with the baseballs, we will ruin these baseballs and we will be screwed. So I decided to take batting practice with dimple balls.
Takže Dôvod, prečo sme nepoužili normálne lopty, bolo to, že sme nemali tak ako Holanďania 300 loptičiek, ktoré by sme mohli využiť a potom polovičku z nich zahodiť a mali sme nejaký pesebol, ktoré sme museli si usážiť a všetci si počas celého turnaja, takže preto sme použili tie dôvodné lopty.
Now, some of my players, if they would have had a gun, they would have murdered me that day.
Reakcia bola taká, že niektorí borci v týme, keby mali pušku pri sebe, tak ho zastrieľa.
Remember, Franzi?
Franz má naši
Because they were embarrassed, because the Dutch were looking at us and we were taking batting practice with dimple balls. And now the mighty Dutch team was saying, look at these Croatian guys, what are they, are they too poor to have baseballs? And we were, some of my guys were embarrassed, and I can understand their embarrassment. But you know what happened that day? We went out and hit better that day than we did against any team in the entire tournament. We faced a pitcher that had beat the Cubans in the Australian Olympics in 2000, and we chased that pitcher by the 6th or 7th inning, and we had that team beat. And you know what it means? It all comes back to quality. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference what you take batting practice with. We had a great day that day. We hit. Of course, we didn't play 9 full innings, but we sure hit pretty darn well.
Čo je dôležité je vlastne to, že ten deň, aj napriek tomu, že sme nepadali s tými super loptami, ale padli sme akorát s tými gumákmi, tak vy si sa videli, ale vlastne mali sme najlepšiu palku počas celého turnaja a padli sme najlepšie ako proti akémkoľvek inému týmu počas týchto majstrovstiev. Držali sme sa kopec inningov veľmi dobre proti holandskému názorču, ktorý porazil v roku 2000 kubanský tým a znovu sa teda vraciam k tomu, že nie je dôležité, s čím pálite, ale dôležité, ako pálite. To znamená, kvalita pálenia je dôležitejšia ako to, do čoho pálite.
Okay, ladies, guys, I'll see a lot of you over the next 3 days. Please don't hesitate to, even if our language does not allow it, we can talk. We can talk baseball in any language. Ask me questions out in the hall, in the audience, whatever, and I will be glad to talk baseball with you. You're a great audience. I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Thank you.